It is Friday, November 10th. Let's talk PlayStation. Alright, let's kick it off with two new bundles that Sony's going to be doing for PlayStation VR. They're going to be available relatively soon. In fact, one of them currently is going to be Gran Turismo Sport. That'll come with GT Sport, PlayStation VR, and a PlayStation camera. Interestingly enough, if you remember, we talked about not that long ago that Sony's actually revising the PSVR headset and making it a little bit better. So new units are going to be getting shipped to stores relatively soon. These are going to include the pass-through box is going to actually allow HDR, whereas before you have to... if you wanted HDR picture on a PS4, you had to have a direct connection to the TV, so you couldn't use PlayStation VR if you wanted HDR. You can do that now with the updated headset. Also, the updated headset is going to have integrated headphones, easily accessible through the wires. So that's the upsetting thing, is that this GT Sport bundle will have the old VR headset. But the second bundle that we're talking about is actually Skyrim VR. So this will come with Skyrim VR, the updated PlayStation VR headset, also 2 Move controllers and the camera. So that actually is probably a much more enticing bundle if you don't already have GT Sport or something like that. Also, keep in mind, actually, both of these bundles are going to come with a new demo disc for PlayStation VR. So actually, if you're also a current owner of PSVR, you can go to the store right now and download this new demo disc, which actually, it's mostly the same demos from the first one. However, there is a demo for Moss on there if you want to go and try that out. But for that Skyrim VR bundle, you can expect that to come out day and date with Skyrim VR, which is going to be November 17th. Moving on to our next news story, Sony updated the PlayStation mobile app, which is awesome because I have said for the longest time that that app sucks. It's terrible. I don't know why it always runs really poorly on, like, no matter what device you use. And I still also don't really like the fact that there's 3 separate apps for general friends list and whatnot, and then messages, and then communities. I still think that's really dumb. But the actual update to the main PlayStation app, it's much better now, a lot more intuitive, a much cleaner look. It puts a greater emphasis on the what's new section to make it more of a social media feed. However, it's still mostly cluttered with your friends' trophy posts and things like that. People never actually use it as a social media stream where they update stuff. I wish people did do that, but maybe it'll encourage more people to do that. Either way, it kind of puts that up front, and then it's just a lot more accessible, and it's a much cleaner look, and it runs a hell of a lot better than the original one did, which I'm very thankful for. Now moving on to PSX. PSX is still slated for December 8th to the 10th. Then there's obviously an early special that they're doing for early ticket holders, which I guess at this point, actually, they're not calling it they're not calling it a showcase, which would imply that it's not necessarily a keynote, but on the PlayStation blog, Sid Schumann did reply to a comment saying that we're still going to have a discussion with Sean Layden and people coming up on stage and talking and whatnot, but he kind of made it seem like it's not going to be your traditional keynote with like major announcements or something. So we're not entirely sure what he's really driving at there. They said they still have more details to share about PSX. So there's that. And then the other thing is that we actually got a follow-up of, not only is Dreams going to be at PSX, which is great, but we're also going to see more of Ghost of Tsushima at PSX, which is cool because, you know, Ghost of Tsushima was just recently announced, that Sucker Punch's newest game. All we really got was a teaser trailer. The game looks technically impressive, but there's still a lot more that we can learn about it. And I would love to see gameplay. I don't know if they're ready for gameplay, but, you know, we do have PSX right around the corner. So what I'm hoping for PSX is that, because it's another show right immediately after Paris Games Week. So I can understand why Sony may be hard-pressed to have like a full keynote to show really interesting things, but I want to get to the point where like we get some firm release dates. You know, if you don't have a release date for something like Spider-Man or God of War or Days Gone, and I would love to see more Days Gone, by the way, please give us a firm release date of Dreams. Please tell us something that we can actually expect. You know, these games are slated, a lot of these games are slated for early 2018. I think it's time for us to finally start getting details on when we can actually get a hold of these games. And that's the thing too, is that it's the safety net. When you get a firm release date, that'll tell you that they're probably close to actually coming out. Because that's the thing too, right? You get a release date and you think, oh, well, you know, Sony still might delay it because Sony's infamous for delaying a lot of their games, but they have said for the past 2 years now that they're really trying to not get into that habit of announcing a release date and not hitting it. So I'm hoping that if they can provide release dates now, that these are actually going to be dates that they will hit for a lot of their games. Now, this next one is very interesting. I know a lot of people have been talking about this throughout the week, and this is cool. It's certainly a start of a very cool initiative. But anyway, what Sony's doing right now is through Sony Rewards and PlayStation Network now, you can actually earn PSN credit for trophies that you earn, which is cool, a step in the right direction. Now, I say this because it's actually kind of severely limited and not all that great, but hey, at least it's something. So here are the details. US only currently for this program. So yeah, it sucks. Sorry if you're in Canada. Sorry if it's other territories. I would assume that this is a trial run, and then however this plays out, they might expand this to other territories or make it a little bit more open, and just see the engagement of like how it works and if it's worth it on their end or whatever. But hopefully they do more of this. But anyway, so it's actually only for silver trophies and up, and you have to. It's kind of a pain in the ass too. This isn't just retroactive for everybody where it's turned on right away. You have to make sure you have a Sony Rewards account. You have to make sure that Sony Rewards account is linked to your PSN ID. Which you should do anyway, because anytime you make a PSN purchase, you get Sony Reward points, and you can rack them up and redeem that for more PSN credit. Even if you're just buying stuff currently, you should have this account linked. But anyway, make sure your account is linked with Sony Rewards. Then you have to go into the Sony Rewards website and turn on each separate module. And for the separate modules, it's silver trophies, gold trophies, and platinum trophies. 100 silver trophies is going to earn you 100 points. 25 gold is going to earn you 250 points, and 10 platinum trophies will earn you 1,000 points, which I believe that translates to like what, $1, $2.50, and then $10. So $10 for 10 platinums. So that's kind of, you know, like that's the thing. Depending on what kind of games you play, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. That's like almost nothing, more or less. Which, you know, sucks, but like that's why I'm saying, like, it's in the right direction. Before you got nothing for trophies, so now you're getting something. But you have to turn on each of these modules in your account for them to start for new trophies to start counting towards unlocking these things. And as far as I know, I can't find the answer to this anywhere, but I'm pretty sure that once you finish each module, that's it. You can't do it again. You can't earn another 10 platinums for another $10. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that once you finish it, it's gone, but somebody can correct me on that. I would actually like an answer on that. But yeah, so this is something that Sony's actually doing. But it's severely limited. Obvious. I think it should go without saying that your current trophies don't count towards this. It's honestly fucking baffling to me that so many people are like, "Well, my current trophies don't count." Of course they don't count. Are you kidding me? What are they going to do for people like me? They're just going to immediately owe me $100 in PSN credit because I have over 100 platinums? Of course they're not going to just fork over God knows how much money, like millions of dollars, to just give away to people for the trophies they've already earned. This has to be for new trophies. I thought that was pretty obvious, but it's mind-boggling to me that people don't realize that. But I like this a lot. I really hope this will expand to more territories. I hope it will be a situation where you can keep earning, you know, more platinums, more silvers, more golds after you do the initial modules that they have up. At least it's something, you know, like this isn't meant to be something where, you know, you actually hunt 10 platinums just so you can get 10 measly dollars. I mean, a lot of games take a long time. It's not going to be worth it, but it would be cool to just over time, oh, hey, I earned $10 over a how many month period of playing games, which is cool. Now, for our final news story, I thought I would use this as a good jumping off point, but just recently, Michael Pachter on his show Pack Attack suggested that next-gen consoles aren't going to be $500 because generally they don't sell, which is more or less what he said. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the Michael Pachter side of things. I just thought it was a good discussion, a good jumping off point of looking at the next generation of machines. What would they be priced at? And basically, I'm going with Michael Pachter on this one. Yeah, they're not going to be $500 or up. What's funny is that he said, oh, unless the Xbox One X does well, which I don't know why he'd bring up Xbox One X, because it's supposed to be a low-volume machine, much like Sony knew that the PS4 Pro is going to be a low-volume machine. X1 X is not going to be in a situation where it's selling more than the Xbox One S, you know what I mean? It's meant to be sold in a lower amount of numbers, same with the PS4 Pro. So I don't know why he'd consider that. But, you know, looking into the future and looking at what Sony will possibly do with the PlayStation 5 or Microsoft's next generation machine, I think it's important to understand that I think both these companies have now severely learned their lesson when it comes to releasing a box at $500 or higher, which is that Sony really royally screwed up the PlayStation 3 initially by offering a $500 and $600 model. Now, a lot of people want to go into the minutia of, say, the previous generation and talk about how it was a multifaceted issue with why PS3 didn't do nearly as well. Oh, not just that it was $500, but also the sub-processor and came out a year later and this, that, and the other. And yes, absolutely, that's why PS3 didn't do nearly that well. But it was also a very expensive machine. And it's the same with the Xbox One initially in 2013. Yes, it was a $500 machine. That certainly didn't help a whole lot going forward, but there was a bunch of other problems. Understandable. But at the same time, price point's very important. And so Sony learned that in 2006 very quickly that they needed to lower the price of that machine. And Microsoft also learned very quickly that a $500 Xbox One was not going to cut it, took out Kinect, and immediately made it a lot more affordable to get that machine. So I think moving forward, now both Sony and Microsoft are in a place where they understand very much so that even if it will be a brand new machine in, say, 2019, 2020, it has to be priced very competitively, $400 or less. Less would be certainly pushing it, but $400 I think would be... It seems like $400 is a pretty good sweet spot for a lot of consumers when it comes to a brand new console. That worked out perfectly for Sony. It worked out well for Microsoft when they finally made an Xbox One at, $400. And of course, going lower than that, sold a lot more units as well. But Sony even more so understands that now, because a $400 PlayStation 4 back in 2013, they did very well. So, yeah, and that bodes well too, especially considering how expensive things are getting. Inflation, the value of dollars getting lower and lower. I mean, consumers want a box they can buy that will not cost them an arm and a leg, and it will last them the next 5-6 years. So, hopefully, Sony and Microsoft will keep that trend going by keeping their machines starting at $400. Those are just some of the news stories that I wanted to talk about with you guys this week. I'm sorry there was no Knack Let's Play. I will admit right now my internet has been terrible lately, and I'm even scared right now as to if this episode of Let's Talk PlayStation will even upload, because it just was not uploading. But the Let's Play, is like getting way larger because it's like 45 minutes of straight gameplay and everything, so the file size is much larger, and it just was not uploading, so I was like, screw it, I'll try and do it next week. I didn't freak out because it's Let's Plays, nobody watches them. It's just the truth. Or there's just a small number of you guys. But I think I will actually start live streaming them instead. I think that'll be much better. It'll be a lot more fun. Probably a lot more engagement too, because I love talking to you guys. I love it. See, even when you can't respond, and it's just me sitting in my room alone, I still love talking to you directly into the camera. I know but there's that distance, because I'm doing this at 10:14 p.m., technically a Thursday night, and you won't see it till Friday morning. And that's even if you watch it right away, So if you say something, I'm not going to be able to see it till whenever I read stuff. There's just that disconnect, and I want to be closer to you. Well, maybe I shouldn't go directly to the touching. It's a bit inappropriate, but I do thank you guys so much for talking with me for the past, 5 years now, which is kind of ridiculous. Anyway, I'm dragging on. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Badecki. Thank you all so much for talking with me, and I will see you guys next Friday.